Hey, what's up you guys, it's Caboose bringing you another Batman Arkham video, and today what I got for you is something very different. Today actually, I want to go over with you guys the canceled Batman Arkham game that was in development at WB Montreal, as there is a ton of concept art and recently some new concept art that has surfaced online that gives us an idea as to what this game could have been like, and I just want to go over in general what this game would have been. Before we do so though, make sure you scroll down right now and hit that thumbs up button, especially if you would have loved to have seen what this canceled Batman Arkham game would have been like had it been fully realized. If you're new to the channel and you want to keep up to date on all DC game related content like Gotham Knights or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, well, I got you covered on the news, updates, trailers, gameplay reactions, and all that fun stuff. If that sounds good to you, then hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to be immediately notified when a video goes live. And with that being said, let's jump in. Let's talk about WB Montreal's canceled Batman Arkham game. Okay, so this game was heavily rumored for years. A lot of people, myself included, made endless amounts of content talking about whether or not this game is real and what this game is. Then finally in 2019, 2 years ago, when we were kind of hearing rumblings about Gotham Knights being the game that WB Montreal was making, there was a reveal, there was concept art that was uploaded online that showed off what was known at the time as Project Sabbath, which was a Batman Arkham game to continue the storyline from Arkham Knight. And to my understanding, Damian Wayne was actually meant to be the main playable character, the main Batman that you play as in this game, with an older Bruce Wayne essentially acting as his mentor. Does that sound familiar? Well, yes, because it looks like, or at least it sounds like, that this game was meant to essentially be a Batman Beyond Arkham kind of game. And you can sort of immediately get that impression if you take a look at some of the concept art, specifically of the city, the open world that they were planning to have. You're seeing it on screen right now. This is one of two pieces of concept art of what the open world could have looked like in this canceled Batman Arkham game, and you can immediately get those Batman Beyond vibes. The vacant Wayne Enterprises building, I'm assuming after the events of Arkham Knight, Bruce Wayne goes into hiding, and that's why he's acting as a mentor to Damian Wayne, who will be the main Batman in the game, rather than just going out into the city and being Batman himself. But if you look over to the left, we have a GCPD and an Ace Chemicals sign, and they almost look like they're holographic. This gives you that cyberpunk type vibe and very much feels like a futuristic Gotham City. But WB Montreal definitely didn't want to shy away from the more grimy feel that you get from Gotham City. In this other piece of concept art, that's exactly the sort of vibe that they're going for. Batman's riding his motorcycle in an underpass, which again, that motorcycle was going to be something that you had available to you in free roaming, and we saw that that is definitely translated over into Gotham Knights. But you can see he's on this underpass, there's all this graffiti, it looks dirty, it looks grimy, and it looks very Gotham. And again, we would have been able to ride around on the Batcycle, and there's actually concept art of it. You're seeing it right here now, and I love both designs. The one on the top looks very Batman to me, and that probably would have been the design that I would have hoped made it into the game, but the one at the bottom is sleek as hell, looks very cyberpunk-esque, and the red accents is awesome. What we ended up getting in Gotham Knights is very reminiscent of the Batpod from the Dark Knight film, so they wanted to go with something that maybe looked like an extension of the Batmobile, something that very much felt like it was within the realm of Batman's tech, and not just an upgraded motorcycle, similar to what these designs were. But again, this is definitely an idea that they had in that canceled Arkham game that they just translated into Gotham Knights, and I'm sure the gameplay and overall how they wanted the physics to be is going to be very similar. But now let's get into the nitty gritty. We have several pieces of concept art of both Batman's design, 3D renders even of Batman's design, as well as concept art for several supporting characters, some villains, some heroes that we would have seen show up in this canceled Arkham game. First off, let's go over some of the concept art of the villains. Number one, we got the Judge. Two-Face would have returned in this game, but under the new persona of the Judge, which is something they would have pulled from the comic books. Poison Ivy was planned to return in this game. I'm assuming not Pamela Isley. I'm not sure what they would have had planned for this character, considering that the game was meant to take place 10 years after the events of Arkham Knight, and of course, Poison Ivy dies in Arkham Knight. Then Gorilla Grodd was meant to be in this game, and there's concept art for him, and that would have been awesome. I am very intrigued for what WB Montreal had planned with putting a villain from The Flash in this game. Maybe they wanted to expand the Arkhamverse and start to reach into the corners of the Justice League universe by throwing in a Flash villain in this game with Gorilla Grodd. That could have been so cool. And Dick Grayson was also planned to be in the game. We see concept art of his civilian outfit, which is very reminiscent of the Rick Grayson run from the comic books, which is pretty controversial. So I'm not sure what WB Montreal had planned here, but I know a lot of people don't really like this run for Nightwing, so I think people wouldn't have really liked if Nightwing were to show up in this canceled Arkham game under this persona. Nevertheless, though, it's assumed that Dick Grayson was going to be an ally in this game that you would have interacted with, and I would have loved to have seen how Damian Wayne, or just an older Bruce Wayne after the events of Arkham Knight, would have interacted with someone like Dick Grayson, who in this photo or in this concept art looks like he's a lot more serious than what we saw of him in Arkham Knight. There's also a concept art for White Rabbit. I don't know much about this villain, and that design is truly horrifying. I will have nightmares, and I apologize if you will too. But last up on the villain concept art is one that I am in love with, and it's a gender-bent Black Mask, a female Black Mask, and oh my goodness, this design goes hard. I really hope that if WB Montreal is pulling any ideas from this canceled Arkham game and implementing them into Gotham Knights, that this is one of those things. I would love to see what their vision was here and what the idea was and have it fully realized. I mean, the suit, the mask, having the syringe there, I'm not sure what she's got loaded in it, and the bloody hammer, this is just, it just screams badass. But you guys want to see what Batman looks like, and well, ask and you shall receive. This is Batman's design, or at least a concept for Batman's design in the canceled Arkham game, and I love it. The bigger symbol on the chest, the red accents, he's very much got those Flashpoint Batman vibes, and I also am very intrigued as to whether or not this is Bruce Wayne under the cowl, considering the scarred up face, unless there was going to be some explanation as to what happened to Damian Wayne over the years leading up to him being the protagonist in this canceled Arkham game. I would love to know who this would have been under the cowl, and if it is Damian Wayne, what happened to him and why he's all scarred up. It's very futuristic in its design, and overall would have been a nice continuation from the suit that we got in Arkham Knight. This feels like a continuation from that suit with some nice upgrades, and as well with that Batman Beyond type vibe. And then more recently, just actually a couple of days ago, we got some brand new concept art surfacing online that is pretty on the nose in terms of what they were trying to go for with this canceled Arkham game. You see it on screen right now. This is pretty much a Batman Beyond suit, but for the Arkhamverse. The red symbol is, I mean, almost identical to that of what Batman Beyond would have looked like. And although it's a concept, clearly whoever was working on this concept art wanted to give WB Montreal something that they had asked for, that they had requested for, and they were probably requesting something that was reminiscent of Batman Beyond. But in tandem with the concept art that you just saw, there was also some more concept art that released online just a couple of days ago that was drastically different. It featured an old, grizzled looking dude with a gray beard that was sticking out of the cowl, and I am almost positive that this is Bruce Wayne 10 years after the events of Arkham Knight in the Batsuit. And it intrigues the hell out of me as to what this could have been in terms of story purpose. Would we have had an opportunity to play as this older version of Batman, or would we have seen him suited up to fight alongside Damian Wayne's Batman during some sort of final mission? Oh man, imagine that. The last thing that we know about this canceled Arkham game is that it was supposedly going to feature the Nemesis system. This system from the Shadow of War games by Monolith essentially acts as procedurally generated enemies. They react to whether or not they kill you, how they'll upgrade themselves, and how they prepare in general for the next time that you go up against them. So that way, every time you fight a villain in those Shadow of War games, it's gonna be completely different and completely unique to you. And that was something that they wanted to implement in this Arkham game, and that would have been awesome. And I think as well, they are doing something similar to this in Gotham Knights. It was mentioned during that Batgirl demo that we got last year at DC Fandom that if you're leveled up to like level 15, enemies that you face off against or villains that you go up against will match your level, and boss battles against them will be drastically different depending on your level. So a fight against Mr. Freeze is gonna feel different at level 5 than it will at level 15, not just in terms of what you can bring to the table, but also what your enemies will be able to do. So yes, it's not necessarily the exact Nemesis system from the Shadow of War games, but it's very loosely based on that, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to be fully played out when we get our hands on Gotham Knights in 2022. And overall, this canceled Arkham game really does look like it could have been something special, but I understand why it was canceled, and I'm assuming the reason it was because Rocksteady wanted to continue the Arkhamverse on their own terms with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Would it have been awesome to free roam around in a futuristic looking Gotham City playing as Damian Wayne, who acts essentially as Batman Beyond, with an older Bruce Wayne as your mentor, and having villains like Black Mask, Gorilla Grodd, Poison Ivy, and White Rabbit, I don't know, or all those characters interacting with you, and then as well being able to ride around on the bike? Yes, that would have been so cool. But Rocksteady, this is their baby. The Arkham franchise is theirs to own. So if they want to continue the Arkhamverse with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, then that is their call to make. This is all just an assumption though. I don't know the exact reason why the game was canceled. I'm just assuming that it was canceled because Rocksteady wanted to continue the Arkhamverse with Suicide Squad and have it be their way. I also think that this was for the better with what we're getting now from Gotham Knights. This is a brand new original game that's being created from the ground up by WB Montreal. Yes, it's potentially borrowing some ideas from this canceled Arkham game, and yes, the premise sounds like it's a continuation of Arkham Knight, but it's not. It's an original game and an original story that WB Montreal doesn't have to worry about connecting to the Arkham canon. That was one of the biggest complaints about Arkham Origins, is that there were several continuity errors, and this time around, they don't gotta worry about that. So it would have been great to see what they had in store for us from this canceled Arkham game, but what we're getting instead is a really cool looking game out of Gotham Knights, and a nice continuation of the Arkham franchise with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that is in the hands of the people that created the Arkhamverse in the first place, Rocksteady. I pose the question to you guys. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine this game was the one that we were actually getting, and then we heard of a canceled project in Gotham Knights, which would have been a game where we play as Red Hood, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Robin, and there's online co-op, and the Court of Owls are the main villains. Imagine that's what you were hearing. Wouldn't you also think, oh man, it would have been great to get Gotham Knights instead? It's a catch-22. In a perfect world, we could have gotten both games, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in the world where we're getting Gotham Knights from WB Montreal and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League from Rocksteady, which, to be honest, is not so bad at all. And with all of that being said, so much to cover here. Now I want to kick it to you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think about this canceled Arkham game? Would you have loved to have seen it fully realized? Are there things that you liked about it, or are there things that you didn't like? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments, and of course, if you enjoyed today's video, if you could consider leaving a like rating on it, it would show your support, and I would really appreciate it. I'm Caboose, and you can click on screen to make your way to one of the other videos on the channel, or you can click my logo to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Those links are going to be in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have an opinion, and subscribe if you're new. See you guys later.